But anyway, since we are at the top of the hour, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody, to Koha and Administrator's Guide. My name is Elise. I'm the Partner Engagement Specialist here at Bywater, and I'm joined by Jesse, who is our Head of Sales and Outreach, and Adam, who is a Sales Consultant here. Welcome. So in this webinar, we are going to just go over Koha's administrative functionality and how it can help, the users at your library perform their jobs more effectively. So without further ado, we're going to get right into it. Jesse, take it away.
Thank you so much, Elise. We are excited to kick off the last of our presentations for the Back to Basics webinar series. It has been a fabulous 6 months where we have been covering everything from the basics of Koha and Aspen to personalizations, an overview of Metabase and LibKey, and of course, bringing it back to basics with Koha. So today in this 30-minute webinar, we are going to focus on administrative functions. We're going to start our journey in the staff overview. We'll talk about things like permissions, merging patrons, and how you can do things at the administrative level for your staff and patrons. Then we'll jump over to our tools module, where we can talk a little bit about running through the logs to look for certain actions that may have taken place in Koha. Then we'll do a quick run through reports. We know and love reports, and they are dynamic. There is just so much we can do with the Koha reports module that today we'll focus on customizing and ordering those reports in there to make it easy to see what you have. And then finally, we'll end things with a quick administration overview where we'll cover helpful tips for setting up circ rules, changing circ rules, or just taking a look at those holds within the system. So without further ado, we will jump right over to our Koha staff interface, and we are going to start in the patrons module. So a few things that I find helpful coming to the patrons module first. This is a great place for you to be able to really narrow down and find something within your system. So if you wanted to take a look to see all of the staff members in your system that have a library staff account, here you can narrow down and search for that category. This would allow us to see anybody who has those user accounts within the system. If you have any APIs connected to outside sources, if you're using Aspen Discovery as your overlay, you'll be able to see that. Perhaps some of you use Patron Point or Communico or other third-party products where it needs connection to the ILS. This is where you'll see all of that information. Now, when we're looking at a patron's account, there's actually a couple ways you can tell very quickly that an individual has permissions. So right next to my name here, where you see it says Tina or JZ Banks, you'll see this little lightning rod and a little badge. That means I have a staff permission and I'm a super librarian. So for those who have set up staff members in the past, or for those of you that are new and thinking about making the change, in the staff account, this is where you set permissions. This allows you to come in and set up permissions for your staff members. Now, there is a plugin that allows you to create a template. So that way, if you have more than, let's say, 100 staff members, it makes it really easy to apply the same permission sets to a group of individuals. Now, one of the coolest features that came in our last release was the ability to copy settings. So what's cool about this is if you had very specific boxes checked here, say perhaps for frontline staff, and you just wanted to copy those to another staff member, you could use this copy settings trigger that'll copy it. And then when you go into your next staff member, you can paste them right in. So again, rather than having to remember all of those checkboxes, it makes it really easy to see that information within the system. Also, if you can't remember what you need, you can use the little plus box over here on the right-hand side, and that will narrow us down where we could see a little more information about what falls under each category for those permissions within the system. Now I'm going to jump back over to our patrons module, and this time I'm going to do a search. You'll notice over here on the search box, sometimes folks forget you can use the search field feature to come in and specify what you're looking for. So if you're looking for a phone number, because we've all been there, we forgot our library card before, we can use that. Or if you have patron attributes set up, you can actually search by those as well. So you can see in here, we have one for if it's a bookmobile stop. If there is Library to You, this is a shout out to one of our partners that uses a feature that they can mail items to. And then, of course, lots of our libraries use ones where they track the schools or the school district that students may be a part of. So again, this is a great feature that sometimes folks forget. You can come in here and search. Now, in this case, we're just going to do a quick search for Bobby, and you'll notice that brings back two individuals within the system. And we're going to just come over here and take a look at one of those individuals. Here you'll notice, again, no types of permissions. We can see this is a youth patron. If we jump back to our results here, I want to talk about ways that you can do bulk actions. With a permission to merge, you'll notice over here, if I did find a duplicate within the system, I can merge those patrons from this screen. I can also start a batch patron modification. So again, Koha has been really good about adding these features here, so you don't have to go directly into tools and then copy or paste those patron categories or patron borrower numbers in there. You can actually come right in and say, I want to take this right into my batch patron modification fields and perform those modifications here. Now, let's say we wanted to modify both of these accounts. You'll notice this gives me all of those fields that I do have available within the patron account. What's really nice is you can also attach messages. I've had tickets in the past where folks have said, we're doing some outreach and maybe we want to put a message in there that, we met these folks at a particular outreach event, or maybe you want to put a message for schools, whatever it may be. This is a great way to add that information in. You can also add in patron attribute types if you want to do those in bulk as well. So again, keep that in mind. If you need to make any type of modifications, you can do that right from that patron screen. All right, next we're going to jump over to our tools module. And I always like to say for tools, that's where Koha performs actions. So these are quite powerful things you can do within the tools module. That's going to range from everything to importing patrons in bulk. One great key feature to remember with this is you do have a starter CSV file that you can download and use. The beautiful thing about that is it's going to include every code that you need for one of those columns. So if you're adding information in, you know exactly where to start. So this is a great way to be able to bring all of that information in bulk, where you can do overlays and even by patron attribute types. One cool new feature you'll also notice is the ability to send an email to new patrons. So let's say you're importing school students and you want to send out a new message to any new patrons. When you click this checkbox, it will also send them a welcome notice. So just a really great feature to tie in. Tools is where you'll also customize your notices and slips. Now, I won't go into great detail about customizations, but I will say, as Koha has grown over the years, we have over 80 different notices that can be sent out. And the things that I always like to mention here in notices are the ability to turn on multiple language packs. So if you have an area where you want to add additional languages, patrons can choose their preferred language and staff can translate those notices so when they receive them, they're in their preferred language. Now you'll notice I have a default tab here, and then of course English, But if you wanted to turn on a different language pack, you can do that and then customize the language that would go out. Whether you have someone on staff that can translate it or you use Google Translate, this is just a great way to be able to customize and have that option available for your staff within the system. Now, I want to talk a little bit about additional tools. The one I mentioned earlier was our log viewer. This is a fabulous resource if you need to dig down and find something specific that happened within the system. For those of you that are our current partners, you know you can submit a ticket and ask us any type of questions. But for those of you that may want to start your hunt and search first, this is a great place to start. You can search by librarian or you can dig into a specific module. And what this would allow you to do is come in and essentially select what you're looking for. Now, you will notice if there is a triangle with an exclamation point. This means that the log is not enabled. That means it's not tracking any changes that are happening in my interlibrary loans module or my suggestions module. Now, I can turn those on by jumping right into my administration portal and going into my system preferences, which we'll show you in just a little bit. Now, if I did want to take a look at a few things, I can come in here, select, we'll start with circulation and claims. And then for actions, I can come down and select anything that I'm looking for. All will give me everything that pertains to those particular modules, or I can select something specific. Now, with object and info, you have the ability to enter in either a borrower number or an item number within the system if you're narrowing down and looking for something very specific, or you can just run a particular time range. So let's say we wanted to find out something that happened last weekend. I can hit submit, and then that would bring back any results within the system. So I can see that the connection to our ILSDI for that cron job ran on a particular item. And so you'll notice each one of those are hyperlinked. This is one that we have connected for when we're testing to other Koha systems. And then, of course, I can see here if I click on that item, it will actually show me that graphic novel that's checked out. So again, the logs are a fabulous place if you want to check something out, make sure that you're looking for something very specific. You can come in here and look for that information. The other big thing I want to talk about with our additional tools is the ability to do customizations. Now, if you are a longtime Koha user, you will know that in previous releases, a lot of this information used to live in system preferences, where we could customize specific pages or entries within Koha. Now we have the ability to do that all right through our HTML customizations. This allows us to upload perhaps the OPAC, the Koha OPAC, or the Koha staff interface. I can even come in here and change any type of the jQuery for the OPAC or any of the CSS. So it's just moved it into one section, and it makes it a little bit easier for us to come in, and you'll see all of those options of things that you can modify within the system. So for example, if you're using the Koha OPAC and you wanted to put suggestions, instructions in there for when they're creating something, you could select that and then come down below and you'll see this editor, which makes it very easy to add in any type of information to have those instructions for your user within the system. Now, again, you'll notice the language packs. If you do have a language pack turned on and that is available, you can even customize what will show when a patron selects that language within the system. So again, this is a great way for you to be able to come in and make customizations within the staff interface, the OPAC, or of course, any of those receipt printers that you're printing off. You'll see we have one here for our slip, and this shows just a little bit of that information that shows at the bottom of our receipts when we're printing them off. Just following us on social media, library hours, of course, and any additional information. So again, it makes it really easy to set those customizations up. Next, we'll jump into our reports module. And the things I like to talk about with administrators is just the ability to customize things within your saved reports. You'll see these tabs across the top. These tabs are a way for us to organize information within the system. Now, I'm going to do a pop quiz in the chat box. If you know where these tabs are modified from, throw it in the chat box. These tabs can be customized so you can organize your material within the system. And of course, Avery with authorized values, you got it. That's exactly it. So this is a great place that you can customize these. So if you're looking for something specific, you can do it. The one I always love to talk about is collection development. If you are running things like your circulation and you want to look in a specific section of the library, you can do that. If you're looking at turnover rate for a particular collection, you can do that. Or if you just want to see things that haven't circulated and you're ready to do a big weeding project, this is the place to start. This allows you to come in and make those changes within the system and check those things out. So we'll run a quick report here. We're going to look at this weeding report. We'll run it in the system. And here you'll notice it's giving us a lot of options. I can select a specific branch or a location or even a collection code within the system. If I want, I can narrow it down by an item type. And then, of course, any additional information. So we'll take this back a couple years and we'll say last borrowed before, we'll go to 2022. Now, I do have options here to limit it by call number or do a call number range. Now, once I run that report, it'll bring back those results within the system where we can then run that information and view it. Now, the next thing I'll talk about is the ability to create or adjust things within the system. So this is a customized tab that we've created. We use the housebound module within Koha, and we have some reports here that allows us to look at housebound delivery options. This is going to show us who needs a delivering, the recipient's name, their card number, address, and the date of the delivery. We also have the ability to run things to see who are in those particular categories. So right now, this gives me a quick snapshot of all of my housebound patrons. Now, what's nice about reports is if there are either borrower numbers, item numbers, or bibliographic numbers that are linked within the report, Koha will give you an option, if you have the permission to, batch modify either at the borrower level or the item or bibliographic level. And in this case, since we're looking at patrons, we can see this within the system. It's easy to come in, say, I want to take these into our batch patron modification, and then view that information within the system. So again, just remember those quick shortcuts which allow you to come in and make those changes within the system. The other thing with reports I always like to point out is the ability to create subgroups. Now, I'm going to take a second here and we're going to go over to administration. And I'm going to open a new tab here and we're going to go into those authorized values that allow us to come in. Now, if I go up here to search, because we have over 78 different authorized values, I can type in reports and that will take us in where we can see the report group, which is going to be the group up top. So where I have my catalog, circulation, collection development, and then of course the subgroup. So subgroups allow you to sort and filter your reports. This is just another great way for you to be able to take it to another level. A lot of times I'll see some of our consortial partners, when they set these up, you can have a group and then subgroups for each of those unique situations that your libraries have within the consortium. I see we have a question from Juan in the chat box. Does running reports slow down the system? Is it better to run reports after hours? Great question, Juan. So, over the years, Koha has really worked on increasing processes within the system. So, my general rule of thumb is if you're running a quick report to look at very specific things, and you know it's a quick number or a quick update within the system, I usually run those throughout the day. If you're running a massive report where you know it's going to bring back a lot of information within the system, like thousands and thousands of lines, then maybe do that one early in the morning or later in the evening. If you ever have a question about that, um, please submit a ticket or jump on Slack and just let us know, and we'd be able to help you with that information. Again, it's always good to kind of think about what that report is that you're running. If you know it's going to bring back a lot of information, I would definitely wait within the system. And I'll give you an example for that. So if we say select star. Star means everything that's within that particular table. I would definitely not run that one during busy times during the day because you're looking at all the information in a particular table. So if you ever have a question, just submit a ticket if you're one of our partners and ask, like, is this an intensive report? And one of our great support team members would be happy to help you out. All right, now to wrap things up, we'll talk a little bit about Koha administration. So, key things I like to point out here is the ability for you to come in and make any type of modifications to your system. If you are unsure of something, always know you can ask us in a ticket, or if you're new, there is a help button up in the upper right-hand corner that takes you right out to that Koha manual. This is where we're going to see all of the information about that particular section that we're on. Since we were in the administration module, this takes us right out to that administration portal. This is where I'll be able to see any information about, setting up my patrons, maybe defining some circ and fine rules within the system, and really getting a head start. So for today's purposes, I'm going to talk a little bit about circ and fine rules. Again, longtime Koha users, you know that now there's a little more standout where it gives you some instructions on defining circ and fine rules for all libraries. Again, whether you're a single location or a multi-branch system, this is where you're going to define your circ and fine rule matrix. The first landing page will be defined for all libraries within your system. You'll notice though where the select a library shows, I can select a specific branch, and that will allow me to come in and specify which rule I'd like to make for this specific branch. The other thing I want to point out is the ability to specify things, whether you're looking for setting a default checkout, or if I come down a little bit further, being able to set things like hold cancellation or lost item refunds. As I scroll down to the bottom, I want to talk a little bit about our holds and bookings. This has really grown over the last few releases. The holds feature has introduced the ability to use groups. So if anyone is using the library groups feature, this allows you to tie in a patrons hold group or an items hold group. Groups in Koha are a way for consortia or library networks to be able to group together specific libraries within your network or consortium. This is great if your library has multiple branches and you're part of a consortium or library network. It makes it easier to define your group of libraries first before it goes out to look for holds or other things within the system. You'll also see here the ability to do bookings. This feature was introduced into Koha 2 releases ago, and this allows you to book items in the future. Now, this is a great way that you can set pre-processing and post-processing days. What that means, lots of people use the booking feature for things like kits, whether it's an educational kit, a literacy kit, a STEAM kit. And what this allows you to do with those pre-processing and post-processing days is check those kits before they go out. I've even seen some libraries use this for book clubs. If you let your patrons run their own book clubs, this is a great way. Again, the pre-processing allows you to make sure all those books are in the bag or all of the toys or items are in the kits. And then it will build in either the days prior or post to be able to identify or clean that information before it goes out for that next person. So again, great features within these rules which help you build a more dynamic hold structure, or if you're using that booking feature, be able to look at that within the system. We have a question here. How is booking different than suspend holds? That's a great question. So with holds in Koha, holds allow us to place a hold on an item. So if we come here and I'm going to jump into my account, and let's say we're going to search for a hold here, and maybe I want some type of cookbook. I can come in here and I can place a hold for this particular item. This allows me to go in and say, I just want that next available item to pick it up. So there I am. I now have that hold within the system. Now, the other option is bookings. With bookings, bookings allow you to specify either certain item types that are bookable or individual items. So if we come in here and we look at our Gilmore Girls set, this is a little box that includes the DVDs of Gilmore Girls, Lauren Graham's book, a travel guide to Connecticut, the unofficial and official cookbook for the Gilmore Girls. And so this includes 7 different things. You'll notice over here on the left-hand side, I have this booking feature. What this does is this allows us to actually place a booking for something in the future. So maybe I'm going on a road trip this fall. So I can come in here, find that patron's name, select a pickup location, the item type, and then I can select my booking dates and say, I want these from November 13th to November 27th. And then once I submit that, it adds me in the future. So the nice thing about bookings is it allows you to do future information, and you can set either by item type or by specific items within the system. So again, just a nice way if you work with teachers or faculty, this is a nice way for you to book out to the future for them as well. Currently, this feature is only on the staff side. However, our team is working on development for the OPAC and Discovery, so it would make it easier for your patrons to be able to do that within the system. One more quick question before we wrap up. Is there a point of sale feature in Koha? And actually there is. You'll see here there's a module which can be enabled through your system preferences. And what this allows you to do is come in and define certain things that you want to sell. These are not connected to a patron. What's great about this is if you have like maybe canvas bags that you sell with your library logo on it, or you have anything branded, mugs, fanny packs, t-shirts, whatever it is, this is a great way that you can put this information in, and then you can add that and sell it within the system. Again, it's nice because it's not connected to a patron. You can define your own values. Another guess for where you can define these values at, throw it in the chat box. And then you can add those in and process the sales. Lots of libraries use this for their friends of libraries. Maybe you have a little nook in your library where the friends sell discarded or donations. And this is a great, great way for them to be able to do that. You can even configure the cash register to say what the initial float is and define where it's at to make it really easy to bring that information in. All right. Well, I want to thank you all for joining us today for our presentation on our Back to Basics webinar series. As we mentioned, this is the last one for our Back to Basics series. So if you missed any of them, you can watch every single one on demand. That allows you to come in and watch those at any time. We'll share a link for those as well. And if you are thinking about um, getting ready to make the switch, sign up for our next webinar series, Supporting for Success. We'll be sending out the registration links shortly, but this is our next webinar series that will take place from July to December 2025. And we are excited to talk about all the ways that we can set you up for success while you're working with your patrons and your community. If you do have questions, please let us know. Myself, Adam, Elise, any of us will be happy to answer those questions for you. If you're looking to make the switch, reach out to Adam and we'd love to send you a link where we could set up a more in-depth demonstration of what we have here at Bywater Solutions. And if you're our current partner, you can submit a ticket. I see we have a question in here. Can you share the process for submitting tickets or address how to do so? Absolutely. For any of our current partners, if you just go to ticket.bywatersolutions.com, that will take you to the location where you can go in and log into our ticketing system, and I'll pull that up for you right here. This will allow you to enter in your username and password. If you forget your password, you could click this link. If you can't remember what your username is either, just pick up that phone and call us, and we'll be happy to help you get squared away. If you're on Slack, you could do that as well, and shoot us a message there as well. And Janice, what version is this? The Koha version that I was showing, we are on 2411, which is almost the most recent. The newest version of Koha just came out 2 weeks ago, and that's 2505. But we won't be upgrading our partners until September to 2505. So this is still 2411. All right, thank you all so much for joining us today for our administrative overview webinar with Koha. Thanks for all you do. Adam, Elise, thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.